Boys, today we are back, and in this video, I am going to be going over how, in my opinion, I believe Alex Pantoja, like I predicted in the champs, I think will be champs at the end of 2026 video, I think Pantoja will be the flyweight champion at the end of 2026. I think he's going to get the belt back mid 2026. And in this video, I'm just going to go over what's been happening, the past few months. So obviously on December 6th, Pantoja lost to Van, broke his arm. Everyone, Van fluked it. Let's be real. Van fluked it. Pantoja was going to whoop him. I had Pantoja winning that fight. But anyway, December 6th, Pantoja gets hurt, falls down, posts on his arm, and it breaks. Now, everyone's thinking Pantoja is going to be out for months and months and months. But in my opinion, I didn't think it was that bad. Now, in American football, Jaden Daniels, a quarterback, the same injury had just happened to him. So it happened to him, and he was back playing football in 4 months, like the legit same injury. So I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but everyone online was speculating the guy's going to be out for a year, and it's career-ending injury, shit's never going to be the same, and terrible injury, it's going to change his career forever. But in my mind, I never thought that was going to happen, and everything was quiet. After the 6th, he came out with a video Pantoja did with his arm in a sling, and no, we didn't really hear we weren't hearing anything. Everything was kept quiet, and then randomly, around January 3rd, this video on the screen, as you can see, Pantoja's already back in the gym sparring less than a month after his injury. Less than a month, he's already back sparring. I'm going to play the video. I hope this isn't copyright or anything, but here's the video. He's sparring with a random sparring partner. He's using both hands, so this is, he's back. So, I knew the injury wasn't going to be long. He's already back. And, you can see he's just sparring, American Top Team. He's throwing the elbow. He's already lifting weights. Now, those don't look like heavy weights, so I don't know if he's, fully, healed from the injury. But look at that. He's doing that kind of stuff. So he's all the way fully back, all right? And then we're going to go to what Ariel said. This was posted on January 5th. This was on his award show. He said, he's been told Alex Pantoja will not need surgery. Now, this is awesome because everyone, when the injury happened, we thought his arm was, cooked. We thought it was over for him. So, I mean, not me, but, everyone else. But he won't need surgery. No fractures and ligaments are intact. He's targeting a return in the middle to third quarter of 2026, bro. This guy's a fucking animal, man. He's already going to be back in the octagon middle to third quarter. And this is what I think should happen. Obviously, this is great news. He doesn't need surgery. It's like the Jaden Daniels injury, if you know what I'm talking about. They're very similar. They, came back, quick. So he's not going to need surgery. This is perfect. Now, I see, everyone talking about Van versus Cop, Van versus fucking Tyra in Japan. No. This is what needs to happen. Van needs to sit out till the summer. Till Pantoja's ready, Van needs to sit out. You did not win the belt. You fluked that shit. It wasn't even a fucking... And then you celebrated it, bro. I used to like Joshua Van, but after this, I'm not that big of a Joshua Van anymore. I'm going to be real. I'm riding with my boy Pantoja. I felt so bad on that night. I wasn't even a Pantoja fan really either. I mean, flyweights were just meh to me. I wasn't really that big of a flyweight fan, but when he broke his arm, bro, oh my God, I felt so bad for him. It was so sad. So I'm going to be riding with Pantoja now. And I think the UFC needs to tell Van, you're sitting out till Pantoja's ready. It's only right, bro. The fight barely lasted. It was going to be a scrap. I said this in a prior video. The fight was going to be a scrap. The first 26 seconds were insane. So yeah, he needs to sit out. All right. Dana needs to, fucking lock in. Tell Van he needs to sit out because we don't need to see another. If Pantoja's not injured, he doesn't need surgery and he's targeting a return to middle, summertime-ish, maybe late fall. But if this is true, then why are we making other flyweight matchups when the pretty much the champion, in my book the champion, he's ready to fight. There doesn't need to be a fight in April between Van and Tyra or Van and Cop. That makes no sense. We need to see Van run it back with Pantoja. That was going to be a scrap. I think the second fight will be a scrap. And Pantoja's arm, it's maybe it'll be a little weaker now than it was before, but it's not it's not the guy's arm's fine, all right? It might be a little weak, but he's going to get that strength back, and I need to see that fight. The fight was unceremonious. I need to see it. And, in my prediction video, I did say Pantoja would be the champ at end of 2026. And, I want that to happen. I think that can happen, so this is great news if you're a Pantoja fan, and I don't want to see any other matchups. I don't need to see which the White House might fuck this up. The White House might fuck this up because Donald Trump came out and said he wants 6 to 7, or, oh my God, I just said that, 6, 7, or 8 like title fights on the White House. Who knows if that's true? But if that is true, I can see the UFC like just being in like a bind and like needing like just throwing any title fight and just doing Van versus like Cop or some shit like that. Even though Van's not even, I mean, he's American, but he reps Myanmar, so I don't know why they do that on the White House, but that could be an option, which I think is dumb. You don't need to rush. Like with Paramount, like you've already got March settled. You still have light heavyweight. You still have the heavyweight championship. That's like April, May, June. Welterweight still needs to be figured out. So there's some, there doesn't need to be a a flyweight championship for until I think Pantoja's back. I think that's only right. He was becoming. I wouldn't say he's the flyweight GOAT because I think that's DJ, but he was becoming up there with DJ, title defenses and all that shit. So I think the UFC should make him wait. And I think the fight can wait. Like, I don't think they need a flyweight fight until Pantoja's ready. Like I just said, there's light heavyweight needs to be settled. Welterweight, Ilya might be back before then. Who knows? There's not, featherweight could have another fight, Murphy or Lopez or Evloev. So I think it can wait. And in my opinion, Pantoja, he's going to leave Van like this, bro. This is what I thought was going to happen in the first fight. It was so close to happening. And, as I predicted, I do think Pantoja will beat Van. I think the offensive pressure, I can't even remember the fight. It was 26 seconds. It wasn't a lot. I just know it was like action-packed. Both of them were swinging. So it's going to be a good fight, right? And, I think Pantoja's going to leave him like this. I think he's going to go show levels to Josh Van in the grappling. So, that is my official prediction if the fight does happen this summer. If, this is what I don't want to happen, but if it happens, if if Van gets a fight with Cop or Tyra or some shit like that, I could see Van losing to like maybe Tyra. I think Van probably beats Cop, but I'm not like 100% sure on that. But if there's another champion by the time Pantoja's back, in my opinion, that ruins the flyweight division. It ruins like the integrity of the flyweight division. Just wait. Why can't they just wait till Pantoja's back? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. They should just wait. But if they don't and they decide to do Tyra or Cop, like, I don't know. It just wouldn't seem right to me. It wouldn't seem like the best flyweights fighting. So, especially Cop. Like, I think Cop's overrated as fuck, and he's really annoying as fuck in my opinion too. So, we're not big Cop fans over here. Tyra, I like Tyra, but it's like, we just need that Van Pantoja rematch. It feels right. So Pantoja, he's in the gym, doing those workouts, strengthening the muscles. So this is great to see. I'd like to see this fight. I'd like to see this fight in like July, after the White House. And if they do, all right, this is another thing. If they do make like 7 to 8 title fights, which it like sounds impossible, but like even like 5 or 4, you're gonna need stuff for the July, August, shit like that. So that's perfect for a Pantoja return. And yeah, man, I think Pantoja does bad things to Van in the grappling. Like I said, I'm not like a MMA, like I didn't know MMA before I started watching, so this is not like a technical like, oh, fucking Pantoja's gonna leg kick him and then do a great double leg or some dumb shit like that, but I do think Pantoja would win using grappling. I do think he'd choke out Van, and I'm rooting for it. After this guy's arm break, I do feel bad for him. So we're rooting for Pantoja over here. We want him to succeed. It's great news that he won't need surgery. Just please don't make another flyweight title fight. I saw Cop and was trying to get Van in Houston. That's definitely not going to happen. They're not putting a title fight on a fight night, so I don't know what the fuck they were talking about, but just, Cop, why doesn't Cop and Tyra fight? That's a perfect number 1 contender fight. Well, that can happen recently soon, so as, that's perfect. I just thought of that. Cop versus Tyra for the number 1 contender, like, that can happen anywhere between, March, put that on the March card, the Charles card, put that March, April, May, and then either, June, July, or August, Pantoja versus Van rematch, biggest rematch in flyweight history. You make that fight back end of the year. Pantoja, which I'm saying I think he wins. Pantoja versus either Tyra with another win or Cop with another win coming off each other. So I think that's perfect. I think that's what you do. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. We hope Pantoja, gets the belt back. So thank you so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.